It'd probably take
Generation X.
What's going on, everyone? This is Powerful Savage the 13th.
What's up?
Thank you for doing all of our music. You're very talented. I really do appreciate it.
I do my best.
I was listening to your old shit that Matt showed us the other week.
The infamous nobody stuff.
Oh,
Nobody
shit.
stuff.
Oh, that's not. Oh my god.
You know what? We can
No,
talk-
let's do it.
Well, the thing I was going to ask is how did you transition from that, like extreme, like scream, heavy metal and shit, to what you're doing now?
Well, I've always been a fan of heavy metal. I'm still a massive fan of heavy metal. Just listening to heavy metal all the way here, you know, you can ask her, she'll vouch for me. But when I was 13, before I even got into hip hop, I went to boarding school for 2 years. And I spent that time learning to rap because there used to be a lot of rap battles and things. And around that time I discovered Lil Wayne, and I decided I wanted to kind of take part because I like to be in the centre of attention.
Because I remember you coming when you came back to school. You started back at where we were at, and you come into product design where and you would start rapping, and you would sound almost like Lil Wayne.
Yeah, like pretty much the whole time I was just spending hours every day just going through songs, learning the accent, how to do it properly, all of that. And then I decided to start learning guitar because, like, at that point I was like, I need some pussy in my life. So
What about learning guitar, man?
Well, I saw my friend play guitar and he was just so good at it. He played a song by Slipknot, and I was like, this is so hardcore. I need to get me some of this. And started learning guitar, started listening to heavier and heavier bands. Before then I was listening to System of a Down. They're pretty heavy, but a lot of people can get into them. Started getting into a lot heavier bands, Cradle of Filth, Trivium, etc.
That's really heavy.
Yeah.
Trivium aren't too bad, I find half some of the time.
Absolutely love them, like best band of all time in my opinion. And then I think at some point I decided during one summer holiday, I was talking to my friend and I told him I really want to do a show. I've always wanted to go on stage and stuff. Because in my head, I thought it would be like, it would take like months of planning. You need companies involved. I didn't know you could get a gig by yourself, you know, and go do a show. So it's like, oh, that's fine. We can sort out a gig like 2 weeks from now if you want. I was like, wait, well, I'm not ready for this. He sorted it out. It was epic. From that point, my first band was born, and from there I was just into like metal bands quite a lot. Infamous was then born as my own project after that. Stuck with that for a few years. Eventually kind of like left because the drummer slept with the guitarist girlfriend and the guitarist slept with my girlfriend, and it was just a messy situation. So decided then to continue on with the rapping, simply because it was something I knew I could do, I was confident in, and I wouldn't have to rely on anyone else creatively, you know, in terms of like actually writing the music itself. I'll be finding that on my own. So yeah.
No, because I remember, I think I'm going to school, it was just rap music.
Yeah.
Rap music. Lil Wayne.
Because
good times.
your sound has a very American sound.
Yeah.
Say, like,
I would say it's proper hip hop.
Like,
Yeah.
if you listen to like Wiley or Kano, like UK grime, and then you listen to America, there's a very different sound.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
you kind of adopted that American style, which
Well,
is kind of refreshing for me as a British person.
It's completely different to like gigs or whatever.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
nothing like that. Devlin.
Yeah, especially around here, you know, like in the UK as a whole. I doubt there's
Because I think where we grew up, it was all everyone wanted to be an MC, everyone wanted to be
yeah, that's
whatever they were
right.
calling it at the time, making their stupid little videos
That's
and
right.
posting on YouTube. That's what we grew up with. And then you come along and you're like, no, I'm going to do this.
Well, exactly. I think it's just more or less I've never really been into the British grime scene at any point. The only person, actually there's two. Devlin, his song Shot Music, I thought that was a pretty cool song. I still got that on my playlist to this day. And MC Righteous, I just like him because, like, you know, I can relate to like all the shit like he raps about and all of that. But most of the time, I'm into, you know, music about, you know, fucking bitches, getting high. but in my music, you can also, I try to input some of the metal influences that I do have, because that's like my main foundation musically. So if you haven't noticed, like in the last few songs that I've done, I've been incorporating more of my metal screams and growls into the music.
I have noticed that in a couple of songs.
Yeah, but also I like to, when it comes to actually lyrically, the lyrical content, I like to have a lot of talk about like either myself, heaven and hell, demons, angels, that kind of thing. I like to kind of see how far I can go in that. Really. So, yeah.
I've noticed your music's very dark as well. It can be.
Yeah. Well,
which I do enjoy. It's quite refreshing.
Well, I think usually when you hear rappers talk about like dark subjects and things, it's either the entire song is completely depressing. I mean, doesn't make it less good. It can still be a great song, but either it's depressing or it's I don't know. But like when I did it, I wanted it to also have that fun element. So like one line, I'll rap about, you know, someone's mum deep throating a dick, and then the next line I'll be rapping about, you know, bats flying out of her pussy or something. You know, I just like to. I think that's where my influence from Lil Wayne comes out the most, because Wayne has this thing where if you look at his entire song, it's very rarely that the whole song's about one subject. Usually it's like every 2-3 lines the subject changes. He bounces from subject to subject, so it's more about wordplay as opposed to telling a cohesive story. And that's what I try to do, but I still try to make it like give it a theme as I go through it, if that makes sense. So
Yeah. One question I'd like to ask.
I know what you're asking.
You know what I'm asking.
I wasn't sure about this one. I tried telling them not to bother.
If you want to ask how big my dick is,
No. It is related to you. It is related to you being black.
Yeah.
But I saw this video online of Kendrick Lamar. I don't know if you saw this. He was at a gig and he brought a white lady up on stage.
Yeah, I saw that.
You saw that. You saw
I
that. And she got chastised for basically dropping the N-bomb.
Yeah.
Now, what do you think of that? If somebody is singing along to your lyryrics, the N-bomb's dropped quite a lot. Like,
I get that a lot. I don't see it personally, but okay, each to their own. Personally, I would say like in a musical context or whatever, I think it's perfectly like fine. You know. I would encourage it, to be honest. Like when you know, if you guys show up to like one of my shows at some point, I'll get you guys to come up screaming at the top of your lungs.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I've known you. I've never even thought about going up to you and saying, "What's up, Mike?"
Yeah.
Because it just seems, as a white Irish dude, it doesn't.
the Irish people are the whitest of people.
Exactly.
That's where Ireland is where white people are made. That's where they're
yeah, it's pretty much like the factory.
Mayonnaise is based on what our colour is.
Yeah. No, but like I think it's where like a lot of people are like hypersensitive to the word and things, you know. But I'm sure you remember like back in school and stuff, like the majority of like, you know, people like Gus and that, they would happily scream it down the corridor running down at me. So, you know, I kind of just got used to it, because I'm like, at the end of the day, it's not like, you know, it's like in a malicious way or like a piss take kind of thing, you know, it's just like a little joke here and there, you know. But like when then you see those people like go off like on vlogging and shit, and they're like actually trying to offend people and stuff like that, then that's kind of where the line is, I think. But it seems the line changes depending on who you're talking to, you know.
So it's the context in which you use it.
Yeah. Well, that, and also who you're using it with.
Yeah.
Because what you need to understand is a black card. I forgot who said this, but like a black card isn't. There's no such thing as a national like black card. It's only a regional black card, and it's the region is whoever's within 10 feet of you at that point in time.
I get that.
So you know,
I think it's also culture as well. It depends on where you are, where you're from, where you're brought up.
And it depends on the
Because
relationship.
imagine if you're in somewhere like Atlanta, a lot of black people in Atlanta.
Yeah.
You're like one of the only white guys. You'd probably get used to just saying that word.
Yeah.
'Cause
Oh,
you're
well,
around
I
it.
think you'd be too scared because there's so many
Yeah.
black people around the area.
But if you're in the south and you see a few black people, that's going to be taken a very different way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we tend to be fine with it. Like, if a Chinese person says it, we're like, fuck it, go ahead. If, Mexicans, they're free to say it. It's just, white people, it's still a bit of a grey area just because, we won't go into what you guys did.
Slavery, son. That's what you fucking did. Slavery, son.
Let's not even get into the butt plugs again and
Exactly.
shit, Oh, fuck.
So who, apart from, say, Lil Wayne, who would be your biggest influences
Trivium.
from America? Trivium?
Trivium, yeah.
So you fucking love Trivium, don't you?
I absolutely adore Trivium. Like, I remember when I first tried learning the metal vocals, screams, and the like rough vocals as well. I was having great difficulty in doing it, but then after I heard Trivium, I was just like, you know what? I love this guy so much. I'm gonna work every day to get this right. And a few years down the line, I eventually nailed it. But after like a few years of not doing metal and stuff like that, it's like I need to work on it again to get it back up to where it was, because I'd really love to like incorporate some of that into hip hop. And
Sort of a throwback to where you started.
yeah, and I mean I know no one in hip hop that does vocals like that. So if I can get it back, then I think that'd be.
That's
pretty
what
cool,
I find your shit's very
So
unique.
I try my best, man. I try.
It's very good.
I
I
mean,
remember when I introduced your music to Ben, and Ben was just amazed you weren't signed, and we were actually able to use your music without anyone saying
Yeah,
striking
yeah.
us saying,
Yeah.
you can't use that, you signed with us.
oh shit.
I was baffled. I was like, what the fuck? Why is this guy not signed, man?
Oh, trust me, man. I've tried, but like, I'm kind of glad it never happened because you always hear about these artists getting signed to 360 deals that they can't get out of and shit like that. Because since record labels are essentially dying, every label now is just giving out 360 deals where they don't just make money from your record sales. Any other income you've got, they get a percentage off it. Which
Because I think Spotify now, you don't really make too much money from that nowadays, do you?
Really?
The record label, I think, takes basically whatever that is.
Yeah. So it's not even worth it. That's why people such as Tech Nine, Cess Crew, and Chads, they're really good like role models for like the next generation of rappers.
So that's why I really like
You
Tom
know?
Don, another guy who's completely independent, does his own thing, and sings about stuff probably other rappers are not going to sing about.
Exactly. Like especially like Tech Nine, since he's like the king of being independent. He was on Forbes list in 2017 or 2016 actually. I think he was just below Lil Wayne and Birdman, which they make serious amounts of money.
Oh,
So that's crazy. But the fact is, even with his label Strange Music, his artists are still independent. He's more or less there for support. He isn't like their
just
boss
there to
or
back
that.
them up, sort of
Yeah,
thing.
they're like all one team.
I never
and that's
realised that
pretty
he
cool.
was sort of independent on his own.
Yeah, he's
Always
been
thought he was signed
independent
to his
from the
big
beginning.
label, he was making all this money.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
But
And-
I suppose he sort of proves you can do it.
yeah, exactly. That's the thing. Like Tech Nine's a really solid guy, and I follow him on Instagram, and he's just a cool guy to like just check out what he's
Just
doing.
watch what he does.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, you are getting noticed now. I mean, Glasses, Malone, guys like that are now sort of checking your music out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only on Instagram and they're sort of liking it and stuff.
Yeah.
But the fact they're noticing your music now as well.
I couldn't believe it when you said it, because up until that point, it was only Warren G, I think it was.
Yeah.
Oh
who I
shit,
really
Warren G.
noticed.
Yes,
Yeah. He'd like checked out a few of my songs and that. But when you said about G Malone, I was like, no fucking way. But my goal is still to, originally I wanted Lil Wayne to check it out, but Lil Wayne doesn't actually use social media.
No,
it's all run by other people.
Yeah.
So at this point, I'm thinking probably Tech Nine, if I get his attention, since he, independent and all of that. He'll be more understanding also to the fact that I incorporate metal, since he's done songs with Corey Taylor from Slipknot, Serge Tankian from System of a Down, etc. Things like that. So yeah, but the one thing that I know people are gonna bring up a lot over like the next couple of years is trying to compare me to Hobson, since especially for photos and like videos or anything like that, I tend to like to wear my bright white contacts, and they'll be like,
I've
it's
noticed
like
you
Hobson and
used to
shit,
do
you
that
know.
a lot. You used to just turn up at school, yeah, have your contacts.
I had them in like every single day. But the thing is, like, I didn't even know who Hobson was, and people were like, wait, are you trying to be Hobson? And she's like, oh, who the fuck's Hobson? And then I listened to a song, Sagging My Pants, and I face palmed my face so hard, my hand would have gone through my face. But, I mean, I listened to a bit more of him, and he's such a good rapper. But, like, I think personally the reason I started with, like, the contacts and everything was I was such a big fan of Craig LaFilth and stuff growing up. And I liked Danny Filth, the lead vocalist, how he had this whole vampire look about him with his dreads and then his contacts and so on. And, like, it's like every aspect of his look was, like, really well put together, and you know, that's kind of what I wanted when I was doing like metal shows and things. So before every show I'd spend like a good 20 minutes doing like my hair and makeup and shit, you know.
Yeah, because you said before you coming in about your makeup.
Honestly, man, like today the only reason I didn't is because the contacts that I got this time round are like lighter white, so they're not as noticeable. Whereas the bright white ones, I just want those for like videos and like the occasional show and things like that. So yeah.
Well, hopefully that'll be a thing that comes next, is music videos and.
Yeah, exactly. Like, well, unfortunately tomorrow kind of busy, but hopefully you can sort out something for next week, really.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the heavy metal, and that was your main influence like growing up.
Yeah.
What is it like to be into a genre of music that is dominated, or well, not dominated, but their core audience is milk chocolate. It's white dudes. Like you go to a
milk chocolate's brown. What is
you
that?
go white chocolate. You go to a Slipknot gig, and it's just a sea of whiteies, like everywhere.
I think there are black art in.
Oh, there are, but
there are a few.
Yes,
like Skin Dread, Killswitch Engage, their old vocalist Howard Jones. But the funny thing is, I hate both those bands. I think like half of my hate is the jealousy I had when I was also in a band. And I was like, these black guys don't know how to be black in metal, you know. But it's perfectly fine. Like I enjoyed it, especially when we're doing shows, because then it made us a lot more like memorable. Because people would be like, you know, the black guy with like all like the face paint and shit like that, like that's really
crazy
cool.
looking black dude.
Yeah, like towards the end of the band's life cycle, we're playing with bands signed by Roadrunner Records, which have signed Iron Maiden, Metallica, Trivium. That was the main thing. And just so many good bands. We were playing with their bands Revoca, we played with Broken Side, we were offered quite a few gigs with some other bands, but just due to scheduling and stuff we couldn't eventually do the shows. But I think me being the way I am, you know, kind of helped, you know, along the way, just because it made it very difficult to forget us. And
well, I think you're a likeable guy anyway.
I do my best, but like at shows and shit, I'm grumpy as fuck. I don't want to talk to anyone. I need to like I spend like hours getting in the zone. Yeah, I need hours getting in the zone, because otherwise, I remember the first show I ever did when I was 16. I was on the stage, and before I could even say hi to everyone, my legs were like shaking. I thought I was just gonna collapse, like they're just gonna give out, but it was terrifying. So I just like to take a bit of time, get my head in the game, so to speak, and go out there. Yes, that was a High School Musical reference. And yeah, just go out there and do what I can, really. But with rap, I'm like terrified of forgetting my lyrics, man, because with singing and stuff, it's easier to pick up where you left off. If you forget a line, you can just do like some little ad-libs or something. With rap, like skip a line, you forget where you even were, what the next line is. Yeah. But screw it. I'll just learn my lines like 30 minutes before the show. And
see, that's what's always intriguing me about rap
So-
battles. Because you're there on the spot.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried anything like that? Rap battles? And
No, there's like two
never
kinds
even
of.
been interested.
Only back when I was in boarding school learning to rap, but with rap battles, I find there's two kinds of rappers. There's rappers that are either very good at songwriting as rappers, or rappers that are very good at battling. And there's very few rappers such as Eminem that are able to alternate between the two. But myself, I spend like a lot more of my energy and like effort on songwriting and just learning new techniques to like songwrite. So for example, every time I listen to a song I really like, I'll like find out what key the song is in, see if I can sing in that key, see like why the song sounds exactly the way it does. But it's I don't do that with rap, because with rap usually the beat is usually the same throughout, so it's not that hard to like figure out. But with metal, that's why I love it so much, because the music I find has so much more depth in it. So for example, an entire song, you can have like 20 different riffs in one song, and each time it's played a completely different way again. So I just find it so interesting how there's an endless number of ways to like configure the music. So yeah.
So you look into real depth, you sort of want to know what's going on there.
Yeah, but the funny thing is I can't even read sheet music. I like to read...
That confuses the shit out of me,
No,
I'm going to be
like,
honest as well.
I studied music for 2 years. They tried to teach me it and I just couldn't get it.
I
so-
can't see how you can look at an image on a piece of paper and translate that into a sound.
Well, it's the
Unless
people...
it's words. Like,
No, it's the people that like play piano while they're not even looking at what they're playing. They're just looking, they're turning the page
it's
while they're
fascinating.
playing. I'm like, how do you do that?
It's fascinating.
You know? It's crazy.
what do you think of mumble rap?
Personally, I don't exactly have a problem with the concept of mumble rap itself. I think it's, you know, there's a lot of like interesting good songs, you know. I think it's more about the vibe rather than the music itself. But my biggest problem with it is when then you just get so many of these copycat rappers which then are like dominate in hip hop now, but they all sound the same. Like if you were to do a blind test on someone, you wouldn't tell who's who unless if you knew the song already. And I think that's like pretty destructive to hip hop, which is why it was such a big deal when Chance won a Grammy, because he's someone who actually raps proper.
And he's someone, I watched something the other day and he was dancing, he was playing piano and he's sat next to a puppet.
What?
He's creative.
I don't know, yeah, he's creative, he's random himself,
Yeah,
but he's
yeah.
himself.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
he's another unsigned artist, isn't he?
Yeah, but the thing is with Chance, funnily enough, one of my favourite all-time albums is by him. I haven't listened to any of his stuff like in the last 7 years or so. And even since he got big, I still haven't listened to any of his stuff. But before that, like 2009 maybe, early 2010, he did this album Acid Rap, which is by far one of my favourite. It's so different. The beats are nothing like I'd ever heard in hip hop before, and I still haven't heard anything like it. It's literally like he was on acid when he did it. But it's so fucking good. And it's one of those albums that you either really love it or you really hate it. And then there was another album he did, which really I found to be really motivational, which was called Not Good Enough. And like the whole thing, he's like talking in between songs and things about all the times that he tried approaching labels and like trying to get heard and things, and they'd always tell him, you're not good enough, you know, what have you got no one else has got, etc. And it's just a really good album to just sit down and really like listen to, you know, when you're smoking up or something, you know. It's epic, trust me.
One person I like to listen to when I'm smoking up, I think he's the best rapper in the world, and that's Eminem.
If you're not, look, right, if
No,
you're
but
white
I
and you're
think
gonna say
Eminem.
Eminem, I'm not gonna even like listen to you.
No?
Like, at that point. No, I think he's a phenomenal rapper.
I
Okay,
think he used to be.
but I think with people that are pigmentally challenged, such as yourselves, it's like that's your boy. That's like the one that truly made it, you know. So it's understandable. But like if we're to like put him in the same bag with like every other rapper out there, I would say firstly it's really hard to like even pick like the top 5. People are always gonna say Tupac and Biggie, you know.
Rockin', Mos Def,
I think
and
that's
things
the
like
sort of
that.
generic answers Tupac and Biggie.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, in hip hop, you say anything bad about either of them, you get crucified. So I'm not gonna say nothing unless this comes out a few years later. Just to clarify, I don't hate them. All right, like I love changes. You know, I freaking masturbate to Biggie sometimes. You know, it's no homo, but yeah. So I'm not a hater, but I think like there's a lot more that goes into being considered one of the greatest rappers. Like these days, the term GOAT gets thrown around a lot for like, you know, a lot of people. But definitely, if we're to talk about the people that impacted hip hop the most, I would definitely say them two were in it. And this isn't even me being biased, but Lil Wayne is definitely in it. His influence is still there today. The whole
Well, I think you could say with the whole Young Money thing, he helped bring Nicki Minaj, Drake, all those
Nicki,
guys,
Drake,
Tiger, whatever his name is.
the whole face tat thing. He's the one who
Yeah.
really popularized that. Like tattoos everywhere.
Tekashi
He
6ix9ine.
that. Yeah, the dreadlocks. He's the one who really took off after him. And like even musically, when he started doing the auto-tune thing and he was kind of like mumbling and stuff, that's what eventually gave birth to this. I don't blame him for that though, because people should come up with their own, you know, interpretation of the music. But it seems everyone then just started copying each other. So, you know.
This is going to sound really corny, one of my favourite rap groups is Cypress Hill. I just love B Real. That's just because I smoke a lot of weed, and he was a massive influence on me. And like,
You must love Wiz Khalifa then, you know.
yeah, I
and
do love. I
Snoop.
love Wiz. I think Snoop's a bit overrated.
You think?
Yeah, because I think old Snoop is really good.
Yeah.
Snoop now has kind of become a caricature of himself.
I just
A
like
little
the thing I like about him is he isn't one of those rappers that keeps going after, you know, their time's gone. He's took a step back while he was still at the top, you know, took a step back, and he focuses more on like movies and things. You know, there's more money there anyway, because usually as a rapper you need to have some other way of, you know, making money. But in general, he's just a funny guy, and he's just naturally entertaining, and that's what I like about him. So like, I'll happily watch his interviews, and like, he's just a solid guy
He
all
even
around.
got a
you
show
know?
with Martha Stewart, didn't he? A cooking show.
Yeah, he did. He did.
Yeah.
He's the host of that game show called Roller's Dice or something.
Yeah.
They brought a whole game back for him. To host.
Really?
Yeah. It
Now
was
what's-
cast in the 80s or something.
What's your opinion on, like, for example, like P Diddy? I don't know what name he goes by now, but he's got his fingers in every pot. Really,
He does.
He's got his fingers in every pot. What do you think of like entrepreneurial rappers?
I think those are like some of the smartest people like in the entire music industry, because you know, with music the thing is it's completely commission based, but it's like it's even worse because like one day you could be on the top and then something comes out like you fucked your grandmother or something and then your career is ruined. You know, that's a terrible example, but you know what I mean.
You get a one-hit wonder where you make a sound and people enjoy it, and then you can never recapture that.
Yeah,
sound
like
again.
like Little Pump, he'll never get as big as Gucci Gang again. Designer, Panda, that was like the height of his career. It's only downhill from there as well. But that's why, like with myself, for example, I just want to make as much money as I can for like a couple years maybe, and then just step back, you know, at that, probably go into something like something where you're not like in like the public eye or something, and you just like real estate, there's a lot of money in that, you know, you'd be able to invest in a few houses, etc. It's a lot harder than that, but I'm willing to put in the time to study and so on. Or start a condom company, because
people got fucked, man.
well, bro, they don't make condoms for my size, okay? So, you know, like usually I have to like snip half of it off to make it work.
Use a bin bag, right?
No, I wish, God. So, you know, there's so many ideas, you know, people just need to keep their ears and eyes open. And where I've also got quite a lot of family from, well, in Africa and that. It's kind of like up to myself and those of us that are in the Western countries to look after them as well, and you know, just trying to make sure everyone's all right. Like,
you
know.
want to take care of your family.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Take care of each other, right?
Yeah, and I want to take care of this one over here. You know, she's yeah, expensive. So, yeah.
We'll leave it at that.
Bro, pussy's expensive. That's all I got to say.
It can be.
Yeah.
Depending on what you get.
Well,
Depending on the quality.
Well, exactly. That's the thing.
If
But
it's
top quality.
If
If
it's
it's
Colombian,
Colombian
it
quality-
doesn't cost you anything.
Yeah, if it's top quality, then
Oh.
you got to fork out for that shit. But if
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
job centre quality, then
Well,
it's cheap.
well, exactly. Would you guys also, while we're here, be able to persuade her to let me, 69er, because she won't let me in. I've tried, man. I need to like.
My
get some
hands are
help
up
on this.
right now, yeah.
This is going online, so everyone's gonna be watching, and you better say yes. 'Cause
Well, do you like getting your pussy in?
He's sleeping on the sofa.
There you go.
He has to listen to enough about anal and stuff like that.
Oh mate, I don't understand it. That's where the poo comes from. And blowjobs have always
You're
put me
just
off
worried
as well.
about sweet corn, that's what you're worried
Oh my
about.
Yeah,
god.
blowjobs have put me off as well. Because here's the thing,
I'm-
I don't.
Yeah,
No,
I don't know what he's on
I
about.
don't like putting my dick into somewhere that has teeth.
This is totally taken a
Like
left.
because I've met
I
somebody
should set a camera over there.
he hasn't had it. I've met somebody who hasn't had his dick been off, but he almost
I know
has.
who is.
He
Oh,
would
no,
have
you're
pissed
not
her
talking
off.
about who I think you're talking about.
Yeah,
He would have had it.
Yeah.
Pissed her off.
Okay,
Well,
so
well,
that's
that
why-
was way to, like,
that's-
jump the cock off.
that's why I was always like, I don't want to put my dick into somewhere that produces shit, and I don't want to put my dick into somewhere
But you
that
get
has
a
teeth.
bit off.
Have you seen the movie Teeth?
I have.
That shit's
Oh
terrifying,
my god,
man.
that shit's terrifying. That
Fuck.
shit's so scary.
Oh, bro, it's fucking.
That's what put you off, wasn't it? Watching that movie, it scared you.
Dude, it's terrifying. Just the idea that
Yeah,
you
but
just-
didn't in that movie even the woman have teeth in her pussy?
she did, yeah.
That's why it's called
Fucking
tea.
horror.
That's what's
It's
called.
But there you go. That makes
Mate.
more sense. That's why it's called teeth.
Oh.
freaking grim.
Oh.
Did you know there's a movie called I don't even know what the fuck it's called, but the whole movie is from the perspective of like a tire or something that falls off a car, and it's a horror movie, and this tire's going around just killing people.
How
Like,
would you even find a
It just-
random movie like that?
I think I was watching like some top tens on YouTube or something, and,
That's a rabbit
they
hole
showed
there.
they showed like the trailer for it, and I was like, I need to watch this, but I just never got around to it, But it just sounds so interesting. Like, it's like the movie Phone Booth though. They made that so
That was
good.
a great movie,
They made it
man.
so good, yeah. Even though it's just like a literal phone booth, like it's phenomenal,
You
man.
say that about a movie like old horror movies like Birds.
Yeah, Phone Booth's better than Birds.
I haven't
Yeah,
seen
but
those.
Birds, that I can't remember who directed it.
Alfred
but-
Hitchcock.
Yeah,
directed
he scared the
Birds.
shit out of the lead actress by literally not telling her there was going to be birds,
Mm.
and they would attack her.
So her reaction was
He
real.
would scare her in her friggin' change room or whatever.
God, and
And
then in
set
this day and
birds
age, you
in
get
there.
sued so
Oh, you can
hard.
never do
Like,
that nowadays.
Oh, you would get super sued.
yeah, but people.
But we talk about it on the show quite often, like friggin', what is it? Cultural appropriation, all that shit nowadays,
yeah,
isn't it?
yeah.
Everyone,
there's a lot of that going on.
People are too sensitive now. They just get offended over everything. Like
wherever, if you don't matter what you do, you've offended someone.
yeah,
You
exactly.
guarantee that. Guarantee
Actually-
today we've offended someone.
We're about to. While we're here, I would just like to clarify that there are two genders and only two genders.
Oh, we're
Yeah,
we're
you
can try-
perfectly outside of that anyway.
You can
Ah.
try to like justify it any way you like, but there's two genders, and then the funny thing is, people who say there's more, they're usually like, oh well, what about unisex? It's like, okay, right. If you ask people how many like hands people have, it's two. Some people have one, yes, but you're not gonna say one or two. No, people have two hands.
Yeah, yeah,
If
yeah.
you've got one, clearly there's something wrong. And with people that are unisex, it's a physical. I'm not sure if it's a physical deformity, but it is a deformity of some
It's
kind,
something
and you
in
can
the
ask.
brain.
You
Probably
can.
a neurological problem.
I'm not even sure, but that is literally the only exception. But the majority of people that are like, I'm gender fluid, I'm non-binary, all of this,
I don't even know what that means.
I don't know what it means. We were looking up, me and my girlfriend were looking up like the pronouns for different genders, and we thought, okay, maybe there's like 6. No,
Fuck
it's
you,
like,
there's like 70, right?
bro, it's like 7 columns full
Yeah.
of like just different,
They've like
the different like.
Yeah, because we
It's
went
like,
on
are
about it a while ago, didn't we? Because they were trying to actually put in the law where you have to talk to these people in a non-binary sense. You have to call them
Nah,
is
fuck
or
that.
them.
Fuck that.
Well,
like,
in Canadian law, there was a bill called Bill C-16
But when
or
those
something
people,
like that.
when they had their baby, they were told the doctor,
Called
you're
them
not-
babies.
Yeah, it's babies. It's not a he. It's not a she. That child will decide when he gets a bit older or when
That's
she gets a
so-
bit
Oh
older.
my fucking god! It's not a choice, and this is
Well,
literally
even in
what's
Hollywood-
fucking everything up.
Well, even in Hollywood, they gave some producers gave his kid hormone blockers
That's
because
fucked
he was
up.
playing with like Barbie dolls or something. So he said, "Ah, he's a girl."
That's child abuse,
Fucking
right?
ridiculous. Like, it should be if it ain't.
Yeah, but because he's a Hollywood producer, some comedian spoke up about him, didn't he? And got friggin' kicked out of Hollywood, didn't he?
Yeah.
And he's not had a stand-up since special.
But the thing is, though, like the entire like LGBT community, they stand together when it comes to these issues. So it makes it really hard to then. I mean, that's fine. Be gay, be lesbian, whatever. Like Zac Efron, don't get me started. But anyway,
It doesn't matter. at the
I
end of the
swear
day.
you've always had a thing about second.
Yeah,
Even
I
with High
have.
School Musical.
I have, like, the majority of Zac Efron films I've watched, and, like, up until, like, about a year ago, me and my friend, every time she would come down to Southampton, we would go to, like, watch every Zac Efron movie that's in the cinema, or we would sit down, load it up on the computer, and watch every Zac Efron movie at, like, a little fan club. It's
a girls' night
guys,
in.
it is, essentially, man. Like, it was great. It was great. But yeah, so 2 genders, that's all there is to it. You can justify it any way you like, but if you ask me to call you by any odd
That's it. That's
pronoun
us kicked off YouTube.
or refer to you as they, I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna ask you, do you have a penis? Yes? Well, hi, he.
I'll do for today. Tomorrow I'm not gonna.
If you don't, well, exactly. If you got a vagina, I'll call you a she. The only exception, the only time I would probably be willing to like be a bit flexible about that is if someone is in the process of transitioning and you know they're actually because there is such a thing as gender dysphoria where someone generally thinks they're in the wrong body and the such. But most people try to hide behind something they don't have and just say, no, you know, gender's this, gender's that.
That
like,
was sort of like our whole thing last week about friggin' Caitlyn Jenner, wasn't it? Bruce Jenner.
yeah. I mean, how
He is 60-something years old.
how she, because he's still got a penis, so it's a he.
Yeah.
How he won Woman of the Year is the biggest bullshit I've ever seen in my life. I don't care what
It's
anyone
beyond
says.
me. Woman for 6 months. Killed a real woman as well.
Oh.
In real life.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
He
Yeah.
was driving his fucking car, his big Humvee, wasn't paying attention, looked on his phone, smashed into the back of a woman, a real fucking woman,
Yeah.
killed her, doesn't get any punishment.
Wouldn't it be some fucked up shit if it turned out that the woman he killed is her spirit living in him and there's punishment? She's like, I'm gonna chop it off.
I'm gonna fucking punish this dude.
Or maybe
Right.
he did legit go nuts from living with fucking the Kardashians.
Well, that was
Yeah,
Rogan.
yeah,
That was Rogan's
fucking
point,
hell.
wasn't
That
it?
was a
His
whole-
point was if you live with crazy bitches long enough, you become one.
Well,
Yeah.
he's living proof that you know too much pussy can be a bad
It
thing.
can.
Like it will drive you
Too much
insane.
crazy pussy.
Honestly,
Yeah,
man,
that's
especially
it.
like so much like good pussy. Like even the Kardashians' mum, she's pretty good for a grandma. Okay, like if Chloe and like Kim weren't available, I'll be like, fuck it, and my girlfriend was dead. I love you. Then yeah, I would totally hit that. Like shit, it's crazy, man.
How long dead for though? Like a couple of weeks or a couple of months or maybe even a year? That's all I want to know.
She said, like, when we're discussing this, and she was like, if I was to die, she would be at it, like, in a few weeks to a few months. So with her,
I admire the honesty.
with her, I'd give her until, like, the funeral reception, then I'll be back to the receptionist. That's you know,
That's not
compromising.
That's not dark at all.
Hey, like, just because I'm sad, my dick still needs some loving, so,
does.
you know. And the receptionist will understand I'm in a bad place, so... Her, like my tears will lube her up a bit more. So.
When you
It
shagged the
works out
funeral
great.
receptionist at my own funeral.
It depends how hot she is.
What?
Can you not let me be under first?
Well, I'll be 6 foot under in her, but you know, that's. I'll be like, babe, this one's for you, you know? Don't worry though, before I come, I'll run over and just jack off over your face one more time. I promise. Alright?
Oh,
I think you're probably definitely sleeping on the sofa.
I think that sofa's going to be warm tonight, bro.
It is. That's fine, I'll be playing cards, it's alright.
Taking the
I can live with
blankets.
that.
So you play like shooters and...
Yeah, man. Call of Duty is probably the biggest franchise that I'm into.
It's life.
Call of Duty, Elder Scrolls. That's about as far as it goes. I've recently been, well, by recent I mean a few months back, I started getting into Forza. But when it comes to racing games, if it
He
ain't,
fucking loves Forza.
oh bro, if it ain't Need for Speed, I can't win for shit. So I ended up just fucking giving up on the game. It's Forza Horizon 3.
Games.
Yeah, but I'm on Xbox One because I don't trust
Same
Sony,
as me.
so that's how I roll.
PlayStation.
Well, the amount of times Sony's been hacked as well, and people.
Yeah, exactly. People still
go.
go to them. I like fuck that. I trust like Bill Gates and his lads. Like, you know.
It's Microsoft.
Exactly.
So you don't play PlayStation at all?
I like my first console was a PS2, but I moved over to Xbox. Just the original reason I moved over was because I was trying to buy a new console, and I went to a second-hand store. And they had no PlayStations, but the Xbox 360 was like 50-something pounds, and I was like, fuck yeah, I'll buy that. Then I just got into Xbox, and then the Sony hacks happened like a week afterwards. So I was like, I dodged a bullet.
Yeah, because it always seems to be around Christmas time as well, everyone gets hacked.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Getting all your new
Absolutely
games, just buying all your new freaking shit for your games.
Yeah. Oh,
That's it,
shit.
you're hacked.
So one question, or we'll just go back to the gender thing.
Yeah.
I just have to go.
You love going on about the gender thing.
Yeah, like whenever someone tells me they're like a gender that isn't male or female, I just tell them I'm a kettle, and please, you're offending me if you do not refer to me as
See,
a
I always
kettle.
say having a lesbian
Like-
sister means you can't watch lesbian porn anymore. It just ruins lesbian porn.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah,
That's a
what-
positive.
Especially when your mate goes on about how your sister's probably eating pussy
Are
somewhere.
you trying to say your sister's a lesbian?
She is a lesbian.
Sam?
No.
Alright, it was worth a try, okay? Just checking.
Would you ever get with a lesbian?
If my girlfriend was a lesbian, yes, I would get
But
with
she, no,
her.
but that's the thing. By definition, she wouldn't want to be with you. By definition, right?
So I'll have your sister's number.
Oh no, she's got 2 sisters, so there's backups to this, so it's fine. Don't worry.
They'd eat your life.
Like, actually, I won't even, because this is going to go on Instagram.
Yeah, don't worry.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah,
Let's
this is
just-
going on YouTube Monday. It goes
Oh.
up on Monday.
Oh, well, fair enough. I think we probably have to, like, divide the subjects up, because there's so many subjects and shit.
So
But-
when's
Oh,
your
we'll put a clip
kinda
on-
like,
we'll put a clip on Instagram.
when's
Yeah.
your new shit coming out? What kind of new stuff?
Well, at the moment, what's most likely going to happen is a few of the older songs I did when I was XT before I changed it to Savage 13, such as Death of a Business, etc.
Yeah, I
that
remember
kind of
when you were
thing.
doing the SAT
Um,
NXT stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna redo like the video for that, re-record some parts, and then because that would probably take me 5-6 hours at the most. Do that, do about 3-4 of them, get those up, and then in the meantime, then I'll be recording new songs. That way, as soon as all of those are out and stuff, then I can just hand over the new ones. So yeah. So you'll be probably looking at about late next week, maybe, yeah, late
Because
next
your
week.
latest one is This Ain't Hip Hop.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to think, like, am I even going to be able
I
to
think
top
that's.
that?
I
Like,
think
don't
that
know.
is my favourite song of yours at the moment.
Oh, thank you, man. Like,
I would
I
say
think-
Welcome to Shoulders is mine.
I really like
I do
Halo
love
as
that
well.
one as well. Oh, Halo really annoyed me though, because at the time there were like certain editing techniques I didn't know about that I wish I'd done for the song. And when I tried re-recording the song, the singing vocals, I couldn't get them to be as good as they were in Halo, as quiet as they were. So what I might end up doing is just re-recording the rap parts, and then that's for the singing bit. I just take the audio files from the original song, just put up the volume a bit on that, and hopefully I'll be a bit happier with it. So yeah, but now I'll have to wait like a few months or at least a year before I do that, since it's only a few weeks ago it was
Yeah.
re-uploaded. So yeah,
Re-released.
What's
yeah,
the,
so expect it.
I've always been baffled of how songs do get created, especially when you listen to a fucking awesome song that you like. What's the
Yeah.
process? Like, how do you start off? Do you have a
Oh,
blank paper?
there's so many ways, but the way I used to do it before was, I'd like have the music, in terms of rap, because metal I'd write completely differently, but in terms of rap, I would start off with a piece of paper, or I've got like several notebooks and books that I like to write in, and I'd have like just the beat playing constantly on loop, and just ad-lib at first, get a general idea of how I want it to go, and then I'll do like some shoo-ba-ba, and like see how that goes. Yeah. And then eventually then I'll put words then to it after I've got the whole song mapped out in my head. But then about like a year or so ago, I stopped being able to do that effectively, because every time then I'd get a piece of paper and try to write, because I had like a year period where I just had writer's block and I couldn't write anything at all, so and I just didn't do much. And then when I came back from that, I found every time I'd open up a piece of paper and then try to write the song first, practice it and then record it, it just wasn't working, and I'd probably get like one line after like half an hour, so then I just kind of gave up with that. And I remember watching then a documentary, Lil Wayne's documentary, where he had a similar problem when he was 20, and what he did was he ended up doing this song called like 2,000 Bars or something, where all the songs that he'd ever written, he just went in the booth and then he started like rapping all of them from start to finish, because the idea of it, he spent hours in there. The idea was that because he was so frustrated that he couldn't write anymore, he was so frustrated that he was thinking, if I get all of this out, record it and just release it, then I've got nothing else written to give. So then from that point, then that's when he just started freestyling on all of his songs. And essentially I thought, I can't freestyle, but what I'll do instead is each section of the song, like when I start listening to the beat, I just think like, okay, from here to here, in my head I already have like a melody, and I'll be like, okay, that sounds good. Then I just write the first things that come to my head, don't think about it too much, just let it flow until eventually the entire song's done. So yeah.
Then do you go on to refine it from there?
Occasionally, if there's something I don't like, or if I think there's something I could have done better. Like sometimes I'll listen to a song and I'll be like, I could have used this rhyming word instead of that one, and then I'll just redo that. But otherwise, these days I could probably record in about like an hour or two, but I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so I try to do it about 8 times each track. So each verse I'd have recorded 8 times, and some verses I split them up into to make it easier. So if a verse starts off slow and then it gets faster, I'll do the slow bit first, then stop there and then record the fast part, and then stop there, then record the chorus, etc. And each one of those will be done 8 or so times, until that way I know I won't have to come back and re-record it, because I've recorded it different times. So at least one of those takes is going to be what I want.
That is a very perfectionist
See,
way
it's
to
nothing
God.
like when I write my comedy. It's just you write it and then you go and form it. If it's fucking shit, you just go back and rewrite it.
Oh,
You
shit.
can't really do that with music.
I think perfectionism does really help. If you just throw it out there,
Yeah.
you don't, and if you don't enjoy what you've made and you don't like it and think that's not quite good enough,
Yeah.
you don't
exactly.
think that.
Yeah.
Me with my segues at the end of every show, I'm the
You
fucking
keep
king
trying
of
to
so
make it
segues.
confused.
better.
I'm the king of fucking segues.
The way he sort of ends the show.
I kind of
Oh,
segue,
really?
yeah. The way I sort of segue
Oh,
into the
God.
end, for example.
You were really good last week, and then you completely ballsed it up.
Yeah, I did. Mate, I fucking killed it
I
last
think
week.
I come across on the podcast is all I could hear was me shout, "You pleb."
Oh my
Then
god.
you and Charlie went into how British am I?
Yeah, you are pretty British.
Very British.
And I'm a perfectionist with my segues like this one. We can find your music Instagram, right?
Yeah, on
Savage
Instagram, savage.the.13.
Yeah.
See, why didn't you say it like that?
You can find our shit on Talking Bare Ball.
Well,
on,
even if you just
Instagram.
write Savage the 13th it will come up, but
We'll go and follow us and we'll link straight to.
follow these guys and they'll take you to me.
It will take you straight to you.
Yeah.
You're on Instagram, YouTube.
Yeah, Instagram's still new, so I've got, I think the most views I got on a video is 90, and that's only because I had it on my Insta bio for a bit. I have no idea how to promote YouTube at all.
I'm still trying to work that out.
Yeah,
It's working out.
because back in the day, because I remember with the band how we got thousands of subscribers on YouTube. What you'd do, you'd download this program. It wasn't like bots that were subbing or nothing, but what you would do is you just set it to like people's comments and like people's videos, so therefore you're helping them out, but then it'll show up as though you've liked it, and then they'll check you out, you see. And then so people would constantly keep coming back and actually commenting and actually interacting, which is what I hate about people that use bots and stuff, because it's we know you've used bots because no one's interacting and
shite.
Exactly.
You've got this many views.
Although I still think one of the most not destructive, but one of the worst things that I did was probably the name change without me announcing it, because
because that caught me a bit off guard, because when I started talking to you again, it was you going by Axe or you going by Savage now?
Well, the thing is, before that, I was getting 100 or so views on my videos on Instagram, no problem, but then as soon as I changed it, it just dropped because no one knew who the fuck this was, and I wasn't going to go through several thousand people hi it's me, so I was just fuck it, it's starting all over again, I'm fine with it. So
but you'll grow.
Trust me, I'm growing right now down here.
It's the quality of the show. That's
It is,
why.
man, it is.
Yeah, just building up, and we're learning that.
Yeah, we're learning to take
Because
steps.
you refuse to do all the fucking social media shit, you leave it all to me.
Well, I'm really bad at that, man. I'm really
You
bad
and
at it.
Charlie.
I'm embarrassingly bad.
Well, I think it's always better to work from the bottom all the way up to the top, because if you just get it given to you, then you don't appreciate it more, but it can also be taken away from you just as easily.
You don't understand the true value of what you've got.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a bit like winning the lottery. If you earn £10 million from nothing, you really appreciate that money, and you appreciate how you got it.
Wait, what?
If you start with
this a lot.
If you start off
You
with
said that
nothing,
backwards, I swear.
okay, if you start off with nothing, right?
Yeah.
And you became super famous through your music, and you built this empire. That's a lot more satisfying than buying a ticket and just getting given £1 million.
That's not what you said the first time. The first time you said, he did say the first time,
There you go,
if you buy a lottery ticket, then you'll be satisfied. Or
Well,
something.
one thing you have to remember about me is now I'm legit high as fuck. So my words can't do
See, I
tend
stay
to stumble
sober
out.
for this.
No, I can't stay sober. I need to pretty much smoke.
I have all this equipment to run, I've got to stay sober.
I can't stay sober.
Oh, shit.
Please trust that I only eat the edibles anyway, which you've got a problem with anyway.
Yeah, edibles fuck me up.
I think there'll have to be a day where I just come with an entire speech on people, the anti-vaxxers, and then we do another video on flat earthers. And honestly, and then a whole video on just gender. We'll have statistics and charts and everything, a little clipboard here and all
I'm down for that.
You
I'm
know?
down for that. So I think we'll call it a day, right? We'll wrap it up.
We can call it a day. I
That's
think
cool,
it's a
that's
good show.
cool.
I've enjoyed it. It's good having
Happy
you on the show,
days.
Mike.
Really good having
Thank
you
you
on,
for
man.
having me.
Thank you
having
for
me.
blessing us with your awesome music.
Oh, I do my best to watch out next week. New music coming out.
Ladies and
so
gentlemen,
happy
definitely
days.
go follow Savage the 13th.
And subscribe on YouTube because I'm lonely.
Yeah.
We'll put all his links down below. Go and whip out our links to our social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Savage's Facebook,
Yeah.
which I for some reason run.
And if you come on my page, leave a comment saying Talking Bear sent you, so I know who you are.
Sweet. Thanks very
We
much,
do
man.
talk that bare bull.
We do talk that babble, especially me.
You've always talked
I talk
bare
a lot of
bull. You talk
bullshit. I
nonsense
talk a
half
lot
the
of
time.
bullshit. Right, latest people.
See ya, people.
Peace!